Oh, and look who's back again. I'm putting it in social media right now. We are live on your favorite new pro wrestling Tory Time show. We call this The Last Word. We're live every single Monday night, right around 11:10 p.m. Eastern. I am the coach over almost 15 years inside the WWE. My partner over 30 years inside the WWE. Big Tommy C. Good evening, sir.
How are you, Mr. Coach? I can't wait to go over this show. Once again, a little uneventful, but we'll get into all of it, and you will lead the way for us.
All right, here we go. By the way, if you're into the chat, you have any questions on tonight's show or anything leading into Bash in Berlin, let us know. Berlin is going to have SmackDown this coming Friday. We got a lot of topics, Tommy, but I want to start not with a down because you and I have been through so many deaths in pro wrestling. Let's just lay it out there. And tonight I thought the WWE did a really good job as Sid Vicious, one of the great characters of all time. One of my favorites growing up in the 80s and the 90s has passed away at the age of 63 after a long battle with cancer. But Tommy, you were there when he was over like Rover. And to see him tonight, I thought they did a nice job of honoring him on Monday Night Raw.
Yes, they did, Coach. He was a freak of nature, that dude. He was big. He was a good worker in the ring. He could cut a promo. And by the way, backstage, one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet, man. I didn't have a lot of interaction with him because of his character and everything. And we did stuff for mostly babyface guys and stuff like that. But really nice, polite backstage, shake your hand. How you doing? I'm sure you knew him better than I did. But I was shocked when I heard that today. I couldn't believe it. I didn't even know he had cancer. The last thing I saw was that he wanted to be put into the Hall of Fame now that Vince was gone. And I thought everything was fine. And before you know it, his son puts it up that he passed away. Really shocking and sad. We lost another great superstar. Unbelievable.
Yeah, we've been through so many in our time. Carlos said he had the it factor. Carlos, we say it all the time here on BTT. You can't coach the it factor. This guy had the looks, he had the size, he had the personality. And Tommy, I'm going to tell a story on this week's episode of Behind the Turnbuckle. Usually it drops Thursday night or Friday. It's not a new story, but I actually got the story from Arn Anderson himself. The legendary story about them two getting into a fight. Scissors were involved. A hotel bar was involved. And one night I sat there and Arn told me the story. I didn't talk for 45 minutes. The story's unbelievable. We're going to talk about that on this week's episode. People, if you're not subscribed to our channel, if you're not following us here, you want to do it right now. You don't want to miss that story coming up later in the week. Now, Sid was a great heel. And talking about great heels tonight, Tommy, how about the start of Monday Night Raw? Outcome, the brand new Judgment Day. And why in the world? And for all you AEW fans that say, Coach, you never criticize the WWE, I'm getting ready to do it right now. I like that they started the show with the Judgment Day. But Tommy, they've got to teach these women that when you're yelling into the microphone in front of 15,000 people, that you can't screech. And for whatever reason, they had Liv start the promo tonight, which I didn't like. But when Dom got the mic, are you kidding me with the heat that he's got, Tommy?
I can't believe the heat that this guy got, man. The guys in the back would kill the dude. He opened his mouth and the place was going nuts. And by the way, week by week, he gets better at it. He makes those facial reactions. He waits. He pauses. He lets the crowd do their thing. And then he goes, opens his mouth, and then they kill him even more. He's got it, Coach. He's figured it out along with Liv there. I know she had that screechy voice, which got to me, and I didn't even text you about it. I'm like, wow, that's friggin' annoying. But
so
him, like you said, he is over like Rover. Finn and the rest of them boys and the rest of the people in the back would kill to have that real heat that Dominic has.
It's the kind of heat that even if you don't like them, and make no mistake about it, backstage, everybody watching right now, not everybody likes each other. It's a competition. It's about TV time. TV time turns into dollars. Dollars turns into longer deals, and longer deals turns into pay-per-views and becoming a legend in the business. So not everybody likes each other. But Tommy, I can't remember. Can you remember a heel that when they would just go to talk, other than maybe myself, they would
No.
just talk. The crowd would literally not let them talk. I can't. I was sitting on the couch tonight going, I'm trying to think of a name. I can't think of a name in the last 25 years that's as over as a heel that the crowd hates as much as Dirty Dom.
Yeah, the only person I could think of at the time is when the Iraqi war was going on, and it was Sergeant Slaughter when he did the flip on America, man, and that was a real deal stuff, man. And as soon as he opened his mouth, it was real heat, man. People thought he really did flip and hated America, like they were throwing stuff at him in the ring. But since then, nobody has more heat than Dominic ever. I'm telling you, I can't believe the heat that this guy's got, man. And he's playing it like a fiddle now. He's gotten into his character. He gets better and better week by week. And you could see it by watching him week by week grow and cutting his promos, his facial reactions, that cheesy mustache, his hair slicked down with that mullet makes you want to punch him right in the
punch
face.
him in the face. It's a mustache for me.
Yes.
The mustache drives me insane. It drives me insane. And in my career, Tommy, when I have people come up, and it happens a lot of times now because a lot of kids that were kids when I was there my first time, and they're adults now, they go, Coach, I get it now. I get why I hated you so much. Everything you did, every move you made, and Tommy, everything he does. I'm glad you mentioned the hair. When he was standing up on the corner tonight and he takes the time to slick his hair back, and then they hit the music and down comes his dad. And I mean, I just thought it was fantastic. And Austin has a question in the chat, Tommy, and it's an interesting question. Is Dom and not Finn actually carrying this faction now? What do you think?
What did I say last week, Coach? I said, not at the moment, but down the line, Dominic is going to be the leader of the Judgment Day with Liv leading the way with Dominic and the puppeteer. Like we said, Liv is going to dictate everything that goes on in Judgment Day, and she's going to sneakily do crap to piss other people off, and he's going to blame this one. It's going to be that one. And down the road, Dominic's going to be the leader of the Judgment Day. You watch.
Carlos says the people believe they could take him. Carlos, that's a big part of it. People see a normal dude. He's not super buff. He's not super big. He doesn't look like he's going to kick anybody's ass. But damn it, when he gets into a fight, when he gets into a match, he's really good in the ring, and he continues to get better. But did you also like the tease, Tommy? Because I always like to look at things that could project. When he was standing on the corner, his dad is laid out on the announce table. He's getting ready to do what would have been an unbelievable spot. And I'm saying to myself, they're really going to give this away at the beginning of Monday Night Raw?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're not. And out comes the other faction. But don't you think we're going to see that at some point with him putting his dad through the announce table?
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. And they teased it. He's standing there, and then the Terror Twins come out, and then it all went crazy. But it's got to happen, Coach. And even Ray just cutting the promo on his own son. Come on, so I could just punch you in the face, he said to him, right? Neither one of you have a brain between the both of you. He started getting on Liv. Dom jumped on him, and there's heat. See, instant heat, Coach. It's waiting to happen. It's only a matter of time.
And we now know that Dom is going to participate in the Intercontinental Championship tournament. There's going to be 4 winners that advance to a fatal 4-way. The winner of that will then face Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. So let's segue, Tommy, away from the start of the show, and then they go into what we love here at BTT, the classic 3-segment match to start the show. Now, they had some great moves going to break. And how about the move of, I can't remember which one from the LFO, that he jumped and Tommy, where he's laid out like that into like 4 dudes or 5 dudes, whatever it was. That was one of the most spectacular camera angles I've ever seen.
Yep. They, the LWO has some really good athletes, man. They got to let them fly, let them show themselves more. They need more TV time, because those young guys, and with Rey Mysterio with them, helping them along, I think they got a pretty good group there on the way they work in the ring. And you saw it tonight, some of it tonight.
Yeah. Jonathan says, I thought Finn was the weakest and he is the supposed leader. I've always been a little skeptical of Finn as a leader or as an individual. And I went back in 2017, they were trying to kind of force him down everybody's throat as an individual. But Tommy, I think this is a perfect scenario where you have guys that don't need to be part of a faction, Damien Priest, Rhea Ripley, and then you've got a group that does. And I think they've separated them perfectly. Here comes Damien Priest. Here comes Rhea Ripley. That sets up what's going to be a mixed tag this weekend in Berlin against Dom and Liv. And I think now you've got that heat between all parties involved, and you want to see on Saturday Dom and Liv get their asses kicked, which is Pro Wrestling 101, is it not?
Yep, you're absolutely right. And finally, Rhea got her hands on Liv tonight. Not by much. She got her, slammed her through into the table. Liv kind of made her way out, but in the end, Liv got over on her. Rhea's in the ring, and she jumped on her like that, and they were off to the races then. So that really does set up Bash in Berlin, where you want to see Rhea just beat the hell out of Liv. And I'm not sure if it's going to happen a lot, but there's something up Liv's sleeve, so we'll see what happens. Because like I said, I love the chase between Liv and Rhea. It just builds Liv even more, and Rhea just keeps going and going and going, and makes you want to say, when the hell is she going to get her hands on Liv? So we'll see what happens.
All right, you are watching The Last Word. We are live every single Monday night around 10 p.m. Eastern time. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, we encourage you to do that. We have multiple shows every single week right here at the brand. Now, a member of our DTL crew, Supy, he's in the chat right now. And Tommy, he's got a question. He says, what are your guys' opinions on tournaments to determine challengers for championships? I don't mind them, except when they do what they did tonight, Tommy. And Rikishi, who's the father of Jey Uso, and there's so many family members and everything. He was on and we're going to talk about on the show later this week. He's pissed off about how they're using Jey as one of the most over superstars that there is. And Tommy, we saw it tonight. He was a part of the three-way
triple threat
match with Kofi, and then who was the third one in there?
It was Pete Dunne.
No, Pete Dunne was with Miz and Xavier.
Yeah.
Kofi, Jey Uso, and whoever. It doesn't matter who the third one was. This is about Jey Uso. And Jey Uso ends up winning. But, Tommy, did you see the crowd and the arena after he won tonight?
Yeah.
How are they missing on this guy?
That's what I said to myself. Yep. That's what I said to myself. Watching this, we haven't seen him in 2 weeks. He did interviews in the back for 2 weeks. His entrance come, the place goes nuts. He wins, the place is going nuts. Corey Graves going crazy. Michael Cole trying to be crazy, but not coordinated enough. Unbelievable. But they still love Jey. And it's just unbelievable. How do you have not this guy in some major storyline? So you throw him in this Intercontinental tournament, this triple threat, which is going to lead to a 4-way, which I've never even heard before, Coach, until now.
We're going to talk about Rikishi's comments on the show later this week. But he basically told Jey, if they're not going to use you, take a little bit of a break. Hell, even go to AEW. We know they would use you there. But the other match tonight, and what did Vince Russo say when we interviewed him here for the show? He said that if you're going to make good television, it has to be reality-based. I would like anybody in the chat to write yes or no to this question. Does anybody believe that there is a universe, Tommy C., that Pete Dunne, whose nickname is what? The Bruiserweight, which is basically off the cruiserweight because he weighs about $180.
Yeah.
Is there a universe, Tommy, that he's going to beat Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship? So why in the world would you not have Xavier Woods or The Miz win that match tonight, but instead you give it to Pete Dunne?
Imagine in your finishing meeting, and you're in there with Miz and these two other guys and Pete Dunne, and they're saying, hey, by the way, Miz, you're going to lose clean to Pete Dunne. I'm like, really?
What?
He lost clean, Coach. There was nothing. He beat him 1, 2, 3. I mean, if I'm Miz, I know I'm a company guy and shit, but man, come on, dude. Really? And you know Pete Dunne don't have a sniff's chance. I have a better chance of beating Braun Breaker than Pete Dunne does. I swear to God. It just makes stuff like, I know they want to do some shock stuff there, but this is not a place to do it where you got Pete Dunne and Miz, long-time, big-time WWE superstar, losing clean to him. And then the week before, he gets hammered by Bronson Reed. He's had a rough 2 weeks, man.
He really has. And he's an 8-time Intercontinental Champion. It would have made sense for him to win that triple threat tonight. And then you've got a great storyline within that fatal four-way whenever they decide to have it. Jonathan in the chat says, I think he's the most credible of those three currently, though. Now, we deal with this in the PFL. I do all the MMA company that I work with as well. And they like to bring in the Europeans, the foreign guys. They want to make this a worldwide company. And that, to me, is the only reason Pete Dunne would get over tonight. Well, Gunther had a promo because he wasn't there tonight, and he's already over in Europe because they're trying to bring all this stuff together and do more shows overseas. But, Tommy, it's got to make sense. And when you're dressed in a singlet and you're not entertaining, just like Gunther, then to me, I don't like it at all. And it makes me, if I think Pete Dunne's going to win, I'm turning the channel, I'm going to the restroom, I'm making a sandwich. And that's what I should have done tonight during that match. Sorry to Miz, sorry to Xavier Woods.
Yep. You're absolutely right. And then if you're going to have Gunther be in Europe somewhere, don't do it with a cement wall where he looks like he's in the bathroom in New York. Like, bring him outside. Do something with him. You put him in a hallway that echoed really bad. The audio was terrible, right? He's got this white wall behind him. He could be in friggin' Providence, Rhode Island in the backstage area, and everybody's saying, oh, he's in Germany or he's there. I mean, come on. Can you be a little more creative? Bring him outside. Bring him outside of an arena that says Germany or something. Give me something, a bar or something where he can cut a promo and say he is international.
How about Michael Cole tonight? And I love Michael. For those people who don't know, we traveled together for the first several years during my time in the WWE. He's the ultimate. But when you have to say Gunther is so incredibly popular in Europe, he worked the independents. He did. I'm like, okay, you're shoving him down my throat now, and I don't like it. One other note on the triple threat. Jonathan says, Miz, he's not going to win anything. Go with the young talent or put together a better three-way. All right, if that's what you want to do, Jonathan, then they're trying something new with Xavier Woods. They're trying to make him a heel. They're trying to make him get jealous of the new guys they're bringing into the New Day as Big E. By the way, Tommy, do you see we got quoted and I got blamed for Big E and breaking the news that he's not going to wrestle? Stop it. It was an opinion. I love these websites that go, Coach said this. I did not say that. But if you're going to do that, Tommy, then give it to Xavier Woods. Let him develop a character. Say to Xavier, hey, listen, let's see what you can do. Let's see if you can expand that character. Let's see if you can go deep and make the crowd at home really believe in your jealousy and the fact that maybe the New Day isn't where you want to be anymore. That's something I could sink my teeth into.
Yep. And by the way, can the WWE make it more obvious that this guy's turning? Not only do they talk about it backstage, oh, we finally settled our argument about whose hand you're going to tag, right? So they get to the match there and they B-roll the whole incident again. Like, let the fans figure it out. Do you have to give everything away? You did a backstage promo about it and then you B-rolled it during the match. So you're just waiting for X to do the turn. It's just, when is it going to happen? Let it marinate and let it happen. We keep saying
Tommy,
that.
Tommy, you got to stop, because you know the narrative on our show. We are a WWE show. How dare us criticize something the WWE?
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, AEW fans.
Yeah.
We got to be on brand right now. Be on brand right now. All right, so that is the triple threat matches tonight. You got Pete Dunne victorious. You have Jey Uso victorious. And then the Yeet Nation going crazy afterwards. Now, Tommy, I'm a little shocked at the thing that I enjoyed the most tonight. And that was they really set it up as a heavyweight fight. They did the tail of the tape. They had the weight. They had the hype for both Bronson Reed and also big Braun Strowman. One big SOB. And Tommy, they fought in the ring. It was actually pretty good. And then they took it outside. And I'm going to just let it go that it was obviously a car from the, what do you call it, the junkyard. And they kept acting like it was one of those, back when we would rent cars and it was clearly a brand new. That was not a brand new car. Let's stop with that. But hey, let's not let the facts get in the way of a good story.
That's right.
But the fact that they had Bronson Reed jump off the wall and splash. What does he call his big splash move, Tommy? I can't remember. They call it something.
I forgot what it was.
Help me out in the chat. What do they call that big thing where
Yeah.
he splashes everybody? You
Yeah.
guys all know it. Help us out. Michael said that was the only thing that I liked. But he went off. It smashed the top of the car, and then you had the little sparks fly in. I thought that was a nice added touch. You come back from commercial break. They're working on Braun Strowman and then Adam Pearce. I don't know what he was yelling for, who they were trying to get, but all hell was breaking loose. Did you like that backstage parking lot segment?
I didn't mind it. And then when they came back and Braun Strowman, I can't feel my fingers. And that's when Adam Pearce freaked out. I can't feel his fingers. Get somebody. And they had to make it fact that who was the bigger man of the whole thing. Bronson Reed got up and walked away without any medical assistance at all. And by the way, in the match in the beginning, boy, you could tell Braun Strowman was blown up, as we say in the business, meaning his cardio is not where it's supposed to be, but he was bending over every chance he can get, Coach. They went at a pretty good pace, man, and he was tired, dude. Mm-hmm. And they put on a pretty good match. I was surprised. I thought it was going to be not as good as it was. They brought it backstage, and then him just jumping from the top. And you're on a car. You're not even on a mat. So there's no give there, right? Mm-hmm. He lands on him, man. That was pretty stiff. I just want to know where the sparks came from.
I know. Whoever they have doing, so people know at home, WWE has always had a stunt coordinator.
Yeah.
And there was a time when Goldberg was supposed to throw me through a door, and they couldn't figure out how to get the door off the hinges. And Goldberg said to Vince, hey, Vince, don't even worry about it. I can still throw Coach through the door with the door on the hinges. Yeah. As the guy was standing there that was supposed to figure it out, I looked at him and said, are you going to say something or am I going to say something? Because this ain't happening, Goldberg. And thank God Vince saved my life that time. Yep. So, Tommy, I think that the stunt coordinator did a pretty good job of setting up the sparks and however they did it, so the impact. But it made me think of, do you remember the time, and I don't know how old everybody is in the chat, but there was a SmackDown, and the reason we did it on SmackDown, because back in the day, it was a taped show on Tuesdays, and they would air on Thursdays.
Yep.
We were in, I think it was Baltimore, but Stone Cold Steve Austin was supposed to drop a huge cement block on top of a bus and blow it up with the McMahon family standing in the ring. It took Stone Cold, I kid you not, Tommy, it had to be, 50 tries?
Yep.
40 or 50 tries. And so the live crowd was standing there dying laughing. They had to take a shot of just the McMahon families. And every time he tried it, and then it didn't work. And they had to do it again and again and again. Yep. I remember watching backstage going, thank God I'm not a part of this right now. That was probably the worst segment in the history of SmackDown, I would guess.
And that's the beauty of editing, Coach. When you post-produce a show, it gets on the first take after about 50 tries, and you never even know about it.
Yes, that's very, very true. That's very true. Michael says, I remember that. Rich said it was like April 2000. It was later than that because I started on TV in January of 2000. I was like 22 years old. So it was later than that. But, man, they tried everything to get Stone Cold over after he had his neck surgery.
Yes.
And that was one of the funniest damn things that I've ever seen. So we'll see how they continue. But Tsunami is the name of it. Thank you very much to Sean and whoever else let me know that. But, Tommy, moving forward now, I believe that Bronson Reed is going to be a guy that the company is going to invest heavily in moving forward. I also like the fact that he got in Miz's face, so now we've got that in the back of our minds. So now whenever he attacks Miz down the road, we can then come back to that and say, oh, I remember in Providence in August. So I like when they do those sorts of things.
You know, the most important thing about that, when he jumped in Miz's face and he was in there, did you see Miz's face on the react of that at the end? He was taken back like, holy shit, this guy's really after me. And I kind of like shit my pants a little. It was like he was selling the fact that I don't want this guy coming anywhere near me, man. It's just subtle stuff like that, which Miz is good at, and he probably knew he had to do. But it's like you saw his reaction. He was like, whoa, he's not fucking around here. Mm-hmm. So that's the stuff that makes you a top superstar, helping get the other guy over. But that's the little stuff right there that makes you think, wow, they're going to push Bronson Reed to the moon, dude. He can do it too, I think.
It's also why as many people in there, it's happening right now in the chat, that think, oh, Miz has been around too long, or oh, Miz is weak, or to have a long career. And I think all you fans need to understand, because people still, coach, you only lasted 13 years. You suck. Really? To last even 3 years at the highest level is very, very difficult to do. And when you've got a guy like Miz who's pushing 20 years, still looks incredibly young, and still is able to reinvent himself, think about the job that you have at home. Would you like to do it for 30 or 4 years if you truly love your job? Well, so would I. So would The Miz. So would Tommy. So would all. So when you get to the WWE, you do whatever you have to make yourself valuable. And sometimes that means being a company guy and losing several weeks in a row in order to get a new contract and last, so you don't have to go work the indies or work somewhere else. It's a very unique career. So, Tommy, it really drives me nuts when I read that on social media or fans make fun of somebody, not even just me, because, oh, you only lasted 10 years at ESPN. It's 10 more years than you ever thought about being there.
That's right.
But it's, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I just don't like it, because I know how hard the guys work to stay there and get over. It's hard to get over, right, Tommy?
It's hard to get over, and Miz did it 2 weeks in a row. He took the heat from Bronson and Rhea, taking the big splashes, and then R-Truth got hammered, and he's out, and he did it again this week, losing clean to Pete Dunne. Enough said there. I mean, he's a company guy, and you can go either way with Miz. Miz could be a big-time heel or a big-time babyface, and we all know he can cut a promo in the ring, and his work in the ring has gotten a lot better in the past 10 years. So that's a guy you want to keep around, man.
A big-time thank you to all of you right now. We have the biggest live audience we've ever had for the last word, as we're just getting this show underway. If you haven't joined our premium club yet, we encourage you to do that. You can do all of that from our YouTube channel. Why is tonight important to join our premium club? It's $5.99 a month. It's the best value in all sports betting. It's not close. I think it's $5.99. Something. It's not over $10. But we do live Q&As first of every month. You can ask us anything you want. We have a show called The War Room that we will record tomorrow, that we have the 5 biggest topics in the world of pro wrestling according to us. That usually drops Thursday or Friday. We do a show called The Watch Along. And Tommy, this Saturday, you and I will watch along live the Bash in Berlin, and everybody can get our feedback in real time. That's incredible value. That's all I'm saying.
And can I just add to that, Coach, that, by the way, folks, we are the real deal, man. We've been there. We've worked for the company, right? We've been in the production meetings with Vince. We've been in the meetings with Kevin Dunn. I was ringside for the Mick getting thrown over, the Montreal screw job. I see a lot of these phony podcasters, and we got a new segment coming up called Tommy's Beef, and I'm going to talk about that in the week and this week coming up. So, folks, jump on the bandwagon, because everything we tell you is a shoot. And what that means in the business, it's the real deal.
Yeah, we encourage you to follow us on social media. We're starting at 2 social media segments. Heel Coach is coming back circa 2003. Nobody's going to be safe for that. And also Tommy's Beef. Whatever Tommy is pissed off at, he's going to let you know. We're going to put it on social media. Also, DG says, I'd pay $15 a month to hear Tommy's Beef of the week. Well, that's going to start this particular week. And Tommy, we had a meeting today with a big company, and the deal's almost done. That we're going to do a really cool fan-inspired contest. But I wanted to take this time right here, right now, because I'm incredibly grateful that this show is working and that people want to work with us and that fans are coming here. But we're going to start to embrace betting in wrestling, betting in MMA, all here at Behind the Turnbuckle. And so guess who's signed on with a big first deal with us? Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to announce right now that MyBookie.ag has signed on with Behind the Turnbuckle, and they're going to do everything with us. We're going to give you a boost. We're going to give you promo codes. You're going to play with us there. They're going to do stuff that every other sports book does not do. Think about you, because that's the only reason I would bring them on board. I hate the fact that all these sports books, they go, hey, give me $5, $200 to sign up, and then they forget about you. That's what we're not going to do that right here. So, Tommy, our first big deal, we just signed it yesterday, and I could not be more excited.
Coach, I'm very humble here today. I said, when you called me up in February and we spoke a lot, we just shot the crap and how you doing, how's everything going, how your kids doing, and then you said you came up with this idea for a show, and he goes, I want you to be alongside of me. I'm like, oh yeah, I could produce that show, no problem. No, I want you on camera. I'm like, are you friggin' kidding me? I've been behind the camera for so long. I don't know how to be on camera. And when you approach me with that, and with your guidance and the producer man's guidance, helping me along, and to see where this show has gone in a short 5 to 6 months, and the subscribers that we have on YouTube alone is incredible. And now we have a sponsor. I'm completely humbled. I appreciate everything, and I'm looking forward to keep this journey going for a long, long time.
Hey, we're just getting started. Rich in the chat says, how do I do that in California? Rich, I'm so glad that you asked that. I live in California, and one of the things that was very important to me is that global sports books are now making a huge comeback. You can play them in any state. As long as you have the right thing to deposit, you're all good. We're going to give you, I think it's going to be Coach 25. We're still working with them on it, but it's going to be so much more than just giving you a few couple $100 when you sign up. That's not what it's going to be about. It's going to be about playing, having fun things, doing MMA, wrestling, all of it. We're going to do it together. We're going to talk about it. Mondays, we're going to give you best bets and see what hits. But the beauty of it is that no matter where you live, you can play with MyBookie.ag. All right, a few more things before we get out of here. And do not forget, coming up, we have our discussion show. Also, Tommy, we will drop from time to time our interview show as well. We got like 5 different shows here at the brand. This week, guess who I'm interviewing just this week, Tommy? The very first winner of the original Tough Enough, who's got one of the biggest YouTube channels in all of wrestling, Maven. Huffman. We're interviewing him on Thursday, and also the man who has the #1 wrestling podcast in the country, Chris Van Vliet. We are interviewing him Wednesday. I'm going to do his show, and then he's going to do our show. That's all this week, and then we'll let you know when we drop them. But there's no pressure to do those every week because we have the weekly shows, and that's very important to us. So it's really, really, really cool.
Yep.
Okay, I think that's all the promotion that we have. So a couple more things before we get out of here. And thank you all. I mean, so much positivity in the chat. You guys are amazing. I mean, this is, like Tommy said, this is truly more than we ever could have imagined. So, Tommy, I lived through the early days of a young Randy Orton. And he said tonight during his babyface promo, I was 19 years old when I signed my first WWE contract. Tommy, he acted like he was 9 years old when he signed that first contract. And I was around him a lot. I rode with him. I was close with him. It is so incredibly gratifying to see where Randy Orton has come from the guy back then who could not be trusted, was as immature as you could possibly be, to now have him come out, the crowd going bananas, singing his song, having him own every place he has been, all the stuff he has done. And now I think he's the perfect opponent for Gunther, because I think Randy's ego is at a point that he doesn't care if he wins or loses, as long as the story is told the right way and he can continue to be in a main event spotlight moving forward. I think it's the perfect time to keep the strap on Gunther, even though we don't like it, because Randy is going to give him a great match and he's over like crazy.
Yep. And it's going to help get Gunther over with Randy just being in the match with Gunther alone. Just that happening. Now I think we all both think that Gunther's going to go over. What does that do for Gunther? He just beat one of the top all-time superstars that WWE's had, the youngest guy ever to win a championship. That guy has come full circle, Coach. As you said, when he first came aboard, man, he was the problem kid. He did everything he wasn't supposed to do, but he changed. And he knew he had to change. He grew up. That's what happened. You saw him, fans. You saw him grow up right in front of your eyes. Guys like me and Coach have seen him grow up, and now look at him. He cut a babyface promo. He looked nervous cutting that babyface promo because he's never really done that much. He's been a heel most of his life that most people love having as a heel. I know I do, but now being this babyface, it puts Gunther up even more as being a heel. You see a babyface Orton going against this big-time European heel. It helps elevate Gunther even more. And that's what they're doing, Coach.
I think it reminded me of the interview I just watched that John Cena did on Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharp. And he talked about why he believes that Roman Reigns is the GOAT, and that's a discussion for a different time. But one of the things he said about Roman Reigns is the reason that they invested in him 10 years ago is that he is a guy that you can trust. And Tommy, when you put the World Heavyweight Championship on somebody, we all know that these are storylines. We all know it's choreographed. We'll never use the F word. I hate the fake word. Anybody that's ever been in the business will never use the fake word. But let's be honest, Tommy. If Vince or Triple H wanted to make me world heavyweight champion, they could make me the world heavyweight champion. But the reason it means something is you've got to be a guy that shows up to every single house show or live event like Cena or like Cody Rhodes does. You've got to be a guy that can show up every single week, 52 weeks a year. In addition to that, you got to show up to promo shoots. You got to sit with the marketing people. You got to sit with the merch people. They're going to invest millions of dollars in you as a heavyweight champion. And you can't be out there doing stupid shit and then getting suspended or getting arrested or doing stuff like that. That's what it means for them to put the championship on somebody. And now I think for the first time in his career, Tommy, that he's a 14-time champion. If he wins another one, he'll be a 15-time champion. But I would argue, Tommy, that this one would be the most important title run of his career.
Absolutely, Coach, because he's been full circle. He knows what it's about. And for him to get the championship for the 15th time, he would covet it. He'd be one of the biggest superstars ever to be a 15-time champ. The fans still love him, and I knew he would carry himself in a way that he's never carried himself before having that title.
No doubt about it. So we'll look forward to that. And once again, we will be live on Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, I believe, is the start. Tommy, they're doing it, and I saw this tonight. I'm like, what are we doing? A 2-hour pre-show. A 2-hour pre-show. Countdown to Berlin, as I think is what they're calling it. There's a couple of things on there that I'm interested in seeing. The sit down with Randy Orton is one. The sit down with Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens is another. But what are we doing for 2 hours that I need to watch? Out here, it starts at 8 a.m. local time. Am I
10 a.m.
Yeah. It's 11 a.m. your time just for the countdown.
Yep.
What are we doing, Tom? What are we watching that for?
Dude, I think that's a Lee Fittings thing, man. He loves them pre-shows, and they're so much different than they were before. As you saw at SummerSlam, they had some really cool packages in there. But come on, 11 o'clock in the morning? Oh, my God. 8 o'clock for you people on the West Coast? That's just crazy, man. That's a lot of content. That's putting a lot of pressure on the TV production crew back here, and whatever you had to do shooting weeks beforehand, the sit-down interviews or whatever packages you're going to do on Gunther in his hometown or whatever the case may be. So that's a lot of TV production, a lot of content you have to fill for 2 hours and then get to the PLE.
And think about this, Tommy. It happened at SummerSlam. By the way, shout out to Austin. Huge DTL fan, Driving the Line. If you guys don't watch that show, daily, 10 a.m. live. But my first time watching BTT, and I love it. Austin, thank you very much. This is truly our passion. And we got a lot of things in the hopper for you. But, Tommy, as a former, everybody knows I did everything, from announcing to working in the ring to being just a talent. But I did every single job. And I can tell you this, that when you go out there 2 hours early, even if this stuff is pre-recorded, they still have to lead to it. So Michael Cole and Corey Graves, they've got to be out there at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And that's going to be a 4 to 5 hour show live. So we're talking about 6 to 7 hours that they're asking Michael Cole to work in Berlin. And I know he's not digging ditches, but Tommy, how is he supposed to be sharp when he gets to the main event, which is the most important 30 minutes of the entire day? They're not even thinking about that. They never have. They never have. You know, back in the day, JR and King didn't have to do the pre-shows. Michael Cole does.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. Why is he doing it? They could have Peter Rosenberg do it with somebody else, but why would you have Michael Cole knowing that you have to sit there, you got to be there at that time, and then you got to get ready for the PLE, and then you got to sit down and do this whole show live? That's a lot of pressure, man. Not only that, when Mother Nature calls, what do? Piss in a fucking bottle? I don't know. And it shit happens, dude, right? Am I right or wrong? So you're out there, you're doing the pre-show, then you go to do the PLE, you got 5 minutes to go to the bathroom, and then you're another 4 or 5 hours on commentary. That's a lot.
That reminds me of the XFL, Tommy, when JR, they had this brilliant idea back in the day to put the announcers in the stands with the fans instead of in the press room, whatever you call it. And so at halftime, it was only 10 minutes. So you didn't have enough time to go to the bathroom. And I wish all of you could hear JR when he's in a rotten mood, which is 95% of the time, because he will complain about everything. And he needed to use the restroom, didn't have time to go to the restroom. They brought him a bottle. This is a true story because I was the sideline guy for the games with him. Tommy, I was laughing my guts out listening to him go, what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? I don't have time. I mean, this is the XFL. And this is a guy who begged Vince and begged NBC to be a part of the XFL. That's and then lost his mind because he couldn't go to the bathroom at halftime. Right. Oh, my God, that was great. Let's put a bow on everything tonight. The main event tonight, Tommy, was Uncle Howdy for the first time in a singles match against Chad Gable, All-American, whatever you call those guys, the last 20 minutes. Did you like it?
I texted this to you earlier on. I said, this is a big moment for Wyatt Six and Uncle Howdy. And they were, and I love Michael telling stories about some of his gear is from Bray Wyatt stuff, and it's just a memory for him. But it just becomes a regular wrestling match, and I hate that. I don't know what I was expecting. I like he's got the green mask now, or whatever happens there, whatever he was wearing. It just becomes now he's just a regular old superstar, and then I don't know what I'm expecting, Coach. But it wasn't expecting that. We knew he was going to go over, and he went over big time. I thought I was going to see Nikki come in there when the young lady from American Made came out and interfered in the match, but we didn't see that. We knew the other boys were going to come in and wipe out the Creed brothers and stuff like that. To me, it's just like, wow, where do we go from here with Uncle Howdy and these guys? Do they just become regular WWE superstars with Halloween masks and stuff like that? I don't know how you feel about it, Coach. I'm just still up in the air about it. So,
Tommy, let's just be honest. If we're going to do this show and we're going to do it correctly, we got to be honest. They have fumbled the ball in this entire storyline.
Yep.
And when you're trying to create a storyline with characters that are kind of supernatural, that are not real, and you're dipping in and out of the reality or them as the supernatural being that everybody is supposed to be terrified of. The thing, and this is one thing I learned from Vince Russo during the time here on BTT, the word patience in pro wrestling is very underutilized. And Tommy, it makes no sense why it's not, because when you're on every single week, you should be thinking to yourselves, how can we drag this out? But because they're on every single week, they feel like, man, I got to get a good rating. We're heading to Netflix. I got to give them everything we have every single week. Instead of, I can remember a time when Rock and Austin would sit down and they'd map out their rivalry and their story arc that would go on for 2, 3, 4 months. And sometimes you wouldn't see them touch for months at a time. And you'd have everything but that. To me, these guys never should have been in one-on-one matches for a month or two. I want some mystery, but that's their job. Our jobs as fans who watch and as fans who talk about it and people who are in it is to enjoy it and to either praise it or criticize it. But they get paid all that money to give it to us. It's not the other way around. And Tommy, all they gave us tonight was a mid-level main event. That's all we got tonight.
Yep.
That's it.
And you know what, Coach? The big part of them, they started out good and everything. Like you said, let this thing carry out a little longer. They could do stuff with this, especially the Wyatt Six, just messing with matches or messing something backstage. Lights go out, do that. And then you all know in your mind who that is. It's the Wyatt Six. Now you gave him a one-on-one match with Chad Gable and became, like you said, a mid-level main event. And now what do you expect? Oh, they're going to have another match next week. They didn't do that, Coach. They had a great storyline that you could do a million things with, and they just dropped the ball on it. You're absolutely correct on that.
I bet you if you look at the hour or the hour breakdown, the first match of the night, that was main event quality. They set it up with a promo segment. You had 4 breaks in it, and almost the entire first hour was the Judgment Day against Rey Mysterio and his boys. That was so much better than what we saw at the end of the night that they promoted 3 or 4 times throughout the night. Because, and this is the one thing that we used to criticize Vince about so much. And when you have one guy at the top making all the decisions, and right now it's essentially Triple H, he is the end-all be-all. Whatever he says goes. So if he wants to push the Wyatt Six to the moon, guess what he's going to do? Push the Wyatt Six to the moon. You saw the interview with Bryan Danielson from the AEW where he talked about Vince sitting down with him 10 years ago and saying, I'm pushing Roman Reigns no matter what. And Tommy, we were there when he was main eventing WrestleMania and getting booed out of the freaking building. And they had to change. They had to get creative. And they created this acknowledge me, head of the table, a character that worked. And now look where Roman Reigns is. But that was a stubbornness by Vince at that time. To me, this is this feels exactly the same way. It really does. They're going to push it down our throats no matter what. And we're supposed to buy in. And I'm not going to buy in. I'm just not. Unless you can get better. All right, that's going to do it for us. We only go about 45 minutes every single Monday night. I encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a follow on the X. Tonight was by far the highest live audience that we've ever had. So thank you for that. We will be back later this week. If you turn on your notifications, you'll get notified when we drop BTT the show. When we drop the War Room for you premium members. Saturday, we'll be live at 1 p.m. Eastern time with our watch along. You can ask us anything in the chat for the full 3 or 4 hours, and we're just getting started. Also, look for our content with MyBookie.ag. Any final thoughts, Tommy?
Nope, it was an underwhelming show as we've been seeing the past couple of weeks. I'm looking forward to Bash in Berlin, and it's like I said, on the East Coast where I am and you're in the West Coast, it's a 1 p.m. start for us. Join us with the watch along. We have fun. You could ask questions and go at it back and forth with me and the coachster, and we have fun doing it. So I'm looking forward to Maven and Mr. Van Leet this week, and we got good stuff coming up, folks. Good stuff.
That's exactly right. And why, Tommy? Why do we have good stuff coming up?
We're the real motherfucking deal.
You're damn right. And on that note, that's going to do it for us. For my partner, Big Tommy C. For producer man, always behind the scenes, I am the coach. This has been The Last Word, part of the Behind the Turnbuckle universe. We'll see you later this week. Thanks for hanging out with us. Be safe. Take care. Has been paid for by Behind the Turnbuckle Plus. New pod order.